Welcome to Torah and Coffee. I hope you enjoyed the segment. We are in Exodus, and let me read this off so I get it right. We are in Exodus chapter 30, starting on verse 11 through Exodus 34, verse 35. Then we're going to read for the Haftadrah, 1 Kings 18, 1 through 39. And in the BeritHadasah, otherwise known as the New Testament, we're going to read Luke 11, 14 through 20, Acts chapter 7, starting at verse 35 to Acts chapter 8, verse 1. Then 1 Corinthians 10, 1 through 13, and finally 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 1 through 18. So that is what the Torah portion with the Haftadrah and the Hadassah is. Now, let me explain. The Torah reading is the book of Exodus, otherwise called Shemot in the Hebrew, Shemot or Shemot, whichever way you want to pronounce it. The Haftarah is the book of Proverbs or writings, which goes along with your Torah or reading. And then the BeritHadasah is the New Testament, which goes along with both of them. So sit right back, open up your Bibles to Exodus chapter 30, starting at verse 11. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, when you take a census of Bnei Israel according to the enrollment, each shall pay Yahweh a ransom for himself on being enrolled, that no plague may come upon them through their being enrolled. This is what everyone who is entered into the records shall pay, a half shekel by the sanctuary weight, 20 gerah to the shekel, a half shekel as an offering to Yahweh. Everyone who is entered into the record from the age of 20 years up shall give Yahweh offering. Let me read this again, verse 14. Everyone who is entered into the record from the age of 20 years up shall give Yahweh's offering. The rich shall not pay more, and the poor shall not pay less than half a shekel when given Yahweh's offering as expiation for your persons. You shall take the expiation money from the Israelites and assign it to the service of the tent of meeting. It shall serve the Israelites as a reminder before Yahweh as expiation for your person. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, make a laver of copper and sand of copper for it, for washing, and place it between the tent of meeting and the Mizpah. Put water in it, and let Aaron and his sons wash their hands and feet in water drawn from it. When they enter the tent of meeting, they shall wash with water. They shall not, that they may not die, or when they approach the Mizpah to serve, to turn into smoke and offering by fire to Yahweh. They shall wash their hands and feet, that they may not die. It shall be a law for all time for them, for him and his offspring throughout the ages. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, next, take choice spices, 500 weight of solidified myrrh, half as much, 250 of fragrant cinnamon, 250 of aromatic cane, 500 by the sanctuary weight of cassia, and the hin of olive oil. Make of this a sacred ointment oil, a compound of ingredients expertly blended to serve as sacred anointing oil. With it, anoint the tent of meeting, the Aaron, Haftadrah, the table and all its utensils, the menorah and all its fittings, the mizbeach of incense, the mizbeach of burnt offering and all its utensils, and the laver and its stand. Thus you shall consecrate them so that they may be most holy. Whatever touches them shall be consecrated. You shall also anoint Aaron and his sons, consecrating them to serve me as Kohanim, and speak to Bnei Yisrael as follows: This shall be an anointing oil sacred to me throughout the ages. It must not be rubbed on any person's body, and you must not make anything like it in the same proportions. It is sacred to be held sacred by you. Whoever compounds it like or puts any of it on a layman shall be cut off from his skin. And Yahweh said to Moshe, take the herbs stacked onychum and galbanum, these herbs together with pure frankincense, let them be an equal part of each. Make them into an incense, a compound expertly blended, refined, pure, and sacred. Beat them, best some, 36. Beat some of it into powder and put some before the pack of the tent of meeting, where I will meet with you. It shall be most holy to you. But when you make this incense, you must not make it in the same proportions for yourself. It shall be held by you sacred to Yahweh. Whoever makes any like it, to smell of it, shall be cut off from his kin. Chapter 31. Yahweh spoke to Moshe, see, I have singled out by name Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah. I have endowed him with a divine spirit of skill, ability, and knowledge of every kind of craft, to make designs of wood and gold, silver and copper, to cut stones for setting, and to carve wood, to work in every kind of craft. Moreover, I have assigned to him Oholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, and I have also granted skill to all who are skilled, that they may make everything that I have commanded you: the tent of meeting, the Aaron Haftadrah, and the cover upon it, and all the furnishings of the tent, the table and its utensils, the pure menorah and all its fittings, and the mizbeach of incense, the mizbeach of burnt offering and all its utensils, and the laver and its stand, to serve vestment, the sacred vestment of Aaron the Kohanim, and the vestment of his sons for the service of Kohanim, as well as the anointing oil and the aromatic incense for the sanctuary, just as I have commanded you, you shall do. And Moshe and Yahweh spoke to Moshe, "Speak to Bnei Israel and say, nevertheless, you must keep the Shabbatot, for this is a sign between me and you throughout the ages, that you may know that I, Yahweh, have consecrated you. You shall keep the Shabbat, for it is holy for you. He who profanes it shall be put to death. Whoever does work on it, that person shall be cut off from among his kin. 6 days may work be done, but on the seventh day there shall be a Shabbat of complete rest, holy to Yahweh. Whoever does work on the Shabbat day shall be put to death. Bnei Israel shall keep the Shabbat, observing the Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It shall be a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he ceased from work and was refreshed. When he finished speaking with him on Har Sinai, he gave Moshe the 2 tablets of the pact, stone tablets inscribed with the finger of Yahweh. Chapter 32. When the people saw that Moshe was so long in coming down from the mountain, the people gathered around Aaron and said to him, "Come, make us a God who shall go before us. For that man, Moshe, who brought us from the land of Egypt, we do not know what has happened to him." Aaron said to them, "Take off the gold earrings and that are on your ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me." And all the people took off the gold earrings that were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. Thus he took from them the cast of a mold and made it into a molten calf. And they explained, "This is your God, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt." When Aaron saw that, he built a mizpah before it, and Aaron announced, "Tomorrow shall be a festival to Yahweh." Early next day, the people offered up burnt offerings and brought sacrifices as well-being. They sat down to eat and drink, and then rose to dance. Yahweh spoke to Moshe, "Hurry down, for your people, whom you brought out of the land of Egypt, have acted basely. They have been quick to turn aside from the way I enjoined upon them. They have made themselves a molten calf and bowed low to it and sacrificed to it, saying, 'This is our God,' or 'This is your God, O Israel, who brought you out of the land of Egypt." Yahweh said to Moshe, "I see that this is a stiff-necked people. Now let me be, that my anger might blaze forth against them, and that I may destroy them, and make of you a great nation." But Moshe implored Yahweh, his God, saying, "Let not your anger, O Yahweh, blaze forth against your people when you deliver them from the land of Egypt with great power and with a great hand. Let not the Egyptians say, 'It was with evil intent that he delivered them, only to kill them off in the mountains and annihilate them from the face of the earth.' Turn from your blazing anger and renounce the plan to punish your people." Remember your servants, Abraham, Yitzhak, and Israel, You have sworn to them by yourself and said to them, I will not make your offering as I will make your offering as numerous as the stars in heaven, and I will give to the offering this whole land of which I spoke to possess it forever. Oh, wow. And Yahweh renounced the punishment he had planned to bring upon his people. Thereupon Moshe turned and went down from the mountain, bearing the 2 tablets of the pact, tablets inscribed on both the surfaces. They were inscribed on the one side and on the other. The tablets were Yahweh's word, and the writing was Yahweh's writing incised upon the tablets. When Yehoshua heard the sound of the people and his boisterous, he said to Moshe, there is a cry of war in the camp. But he answered, it is not the sound of the tune of triumph or in the sound of tune of defeat. It is the sound of song that I hear. As soon as Moshe came near the camp and saw that calf and the dancing, he became enraged, and he hurled the tablets from his hand and shattered them at the foot of the mountain. He took the calf that they had made and burned it. He grounded it to powder and strewed it upon the water, and so made the Israelites drink it. Moshe said to Aaron, what did these people do to you that you have brought such a sin upon them? Aaron said, let not my Lord be enraged. You know that these people is bent on evil. They said to me, make us a god to lead us, for the man Moshe who brought us from the land of Egypt. We did not know what happened to him. So he said to them, whoever has gold, take it off. They gave it to me, and I hurled it into the fire, and out came this calf. Moshe saw that the people were out of control, since Aaron had let them get out of control, so that they were a menace to any who might oppose them. Moshe stood up in the great gate of the camp and said, whoever is on Yahweh's, come here. And all the Levium rallied to him. He said to them, this says Yahweh, the God of Israel, each of you put on fire. Each of you put sword on fire, go back and forth from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay prophet and neighbor and kin. Verse 28, Exodus 32. The Levium did as Moses had bidden, and some 3,000 of the people fell that day. And Moshe said, dedicate yourself to Yahweh this day, for each of you has been against son and brother, that he may bestow a blessing upon you today. The next day Moshe said to the people, you have been guilty of a great sin. Yes, I will now go up to Yahweh, but perhaps I may win forgiveness for your sin. Moshe went back to Yahweh and said, Allahs, this people is guilty of a great sin in making for themselves a gold of calf. 31. Moshe went back to Yahweh and said, Allahs, this people is guilty of great sin in making for themselves a god of gold. Now, If you will forgive their sins, well and good, but if not, erase me from the record which you have written. But Yahweh said to Moses, He who has sinned against me, him only will I erase from my record. Go now, let the people where I go now, lead the people where I told you. See, my angel shall go before you, but when I make an accounting, I will bring them to account for their sins. Then Yahweh sent a plague upon the people for what they did with the calf that Aaron made. Chapter 33, verse 1. Then Yahweh said to Moses, Set out from here, you and the people that you have brought up from the land of Egypt to the land of which I swore to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob, saying, To your offering will I give it. I will send an angel before you, and I will drive out the Canaanites, the Amorites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Hivitites, and the Jebusites, a land flowing with milk and honey. But I will not go in your midst, since you are a stiff-necked people, lest I destroy you on the way. When the people heard this harsh word, they went into mourning, and none put on his finery. Yahweh said to Moses, Say to Bnei Yisrael, you are a stiff-necked people. If you were to go in the midst for a moment, I would destroy you. Now then, leave off the finery, and I will consider what to do to you. So the Israelites remained stripped of the finery from the Mount Horeb on. Now Moshe would take the tent and pitch it outside the camp at some distance from the camp. It was called the tent of meeting, and whoever sought Yahweh would go out to the tent of meeting that was outside the camp. Whenever Moshe went out to the tent, all the people would rise and stand, each at the entrance of his tent, and gaze after Moshe, and he entered into the tent. And when Moshe entered the tent, the pillar of cloud would descend and stand at the entrance of the tent while he spoke with Moshe. When all the people saw the pillar of cloud poised at the entrance of the tent, all the people would rise and bow low, each at the entrance of the tent. Yahweh would speak to Moshe face to face as one man speaks to another, and he would then return to the camp. But his attendant, Yahashua, son of Nun, a youth, would not stir out of the tent. Moshe said to Yahweh, You say to them, Lead this people forward, but you have not made known to me when you will send, whom you will send with me. Further, you have said, I have singled you out by name, and you have indeed gained my favor. Now, if I have truly gained your favor, pray, let me know your ways, that I may know you and continue in your favor. Consider too that this nation is your people. And he said, I will go in the lead and will lighten your burden. And he said to him, Unless you go in the lead, do not make us leave this place. For how shall it be known that your people, have gained your favor unless you go with us, so that we may be distinguished, your people and I, from every people on the face of the earth? And Yahweh said to Moshe, I will also do this thing that you have asked, for you have truly gained my favor, and I have singled you out by name. He said, let me behold your presence. And he answered, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim before you the name Yahweh, and the grace that I grant, and the compassion that I show. But he said, you cannot see my face, for man may not see me and live. And Yahweh said, see, there is a place near here. Station yourself on the rock, and as my presence passes by, I will put you into the cleft of the rock and shield you with my hand until I have passed. Then I will take my hand away from you. Then I will take my hand away, and you will see my back, but my face must not be seen. Chapter 34. Excuse me. Yahweh said to Moshe, carve 2 tablets of stone like the first, and I will inscribe upon the tablets the words that were in the first tablet which you shattered. Be ready by morning, and in the morning come up to Har Sinai and present yourself there to me and on the top of the mountain. No one else shall come up with you, and no one else shall be seen anywhere on the mountain, neither shall the flocks and the herds graze at the foot of this mountain. So Moshe carved 2 tablets of stone like the first, and early in the morning he went up a mount on Har Sinai, as Yahweh had commanded him, taking the 2 stone tablets with him. 5. Yahweh came down in a cloud. He stood with him there and proclaimed the name Yahweh. Yahweh pressed before him and proclaimed, Yahweh, Yahweh, a Yahweh compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abundant in kindness and faithfulness, extending kindness to the 1,000th generation, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin, that he does not remit all punishment, but visits the iniquity of parents upon children and children's children upon the 3rd and 4th generations. Moshe hastened to bow low to the ground in homage and said, if I have gained your favor, O Yahweh, pray, let Yahweh go in our midst, even though this is a stiff-necked people. Pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us for your own. He said, I hereby make a covenant before all your people. I will work such wonders as have not been wrought on all the earth or in any nation, and the people who are with you shall see how awesome are Yahweh's deeds, which I will perform for you. Mark well what I command you to do. I will drive out before you the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites. Beware of making a covenant with the inhabitants of the land against which you are advancing, lest they be the snare in your midst. Now you must tear down their altars, smash their pillars, and cut down their sacred posts. For you must not worship any other God, but because Yahweh, whose name is an impassionate God. You must not make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, for they shall lust after their gods, and sacrifice to their gods, and invite you, and you will eat of their sacrifices. And when you take wives from among the daughters for your sons, their daughters will lust after their gods, and will cause your son to lust after their gods. You shall not make molten gods for yourselves. You shall observe the festival of Pesach, eating unleavened bread for 7 days, as I have commanded you, at the set time of a month of Abib. For in the month of Abib you went forth from Egypt. Every first issue of the womb is mine from all your livestock that drop a male of firstling, whether cattle or sheep, but the firstling of an ass you shall redeem with a sheep. If you do not redeem it, you must break its neck, and you must return every firstborn among your sons. None shall appear before me empty-handed. 21. 6 days you shall work, but on the seventh day you shall cease from labor. You shall cease from labor even at plowing time and harvest time. You shall not observe the festival of Shavuot of the first fruit. 20. You shall observe the festival of Shavuot of the first fruit of the wheat harvest, and the feast of the ingathering of the turn of the year. 3 times a year shall all your males appear before the sovereign God, the God of Israel. I will drive out the nations from your path, and mark you your territory. No one will covet your land. When you go up to appear before Yahweh your God, there 3 times a year. You will not offer the blood of my sacrifice with anything leavened, and the sacrifice of the festival of Pesach shall not be left lying until morning. The joyous first fruits of your soil you shall bring to the house of Yahweh your God. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. And Yahweh said to Moshe, write down those commandments, for in accordance with these commandments I make a covenant with you and with Israel. And he was there with Yahweh 40 days and 40 nights. He ate no bread and drank no water, and he wrote down on the tablets the term of the covenant, the 10 commandments. So Moshe came down from the Har Sinai, and as Moshe came down from the mountain, bearing the 2 tablets of pact, Moshe was not aware that the skin of his face was radiant, since he had spoken with him. Aaron and all the Israelites saw that the skin of Moshe's face was radiant, and they shrank from coming near him. But Moshe called to them, and Aaron and all the chieftains in the assembly among returned to him, and Moshe spoke to them. Afterward, all the Israelites came near, and he instructed them concerning all that Yahweh had imparted on him at Har Sinai. And when Moshe had finished speaking with them, he put a veil over his face. Wherefore Moshe went in before Yahweh to speak with him. He would leave the veil off until he came out. And when he came out and told the Israelites what he had been commanded, the Israelites would see how radiant the skin of Moshe's face was, Moshe would then put the veil back on his face until he went in to speak with him. This concludes the Torah reading. Let's go to the Haftadrah. 1 Kings. 1 Kings 18, 1 through 39. 1 Kings chapter 18, 1 through 39. Starting at verse 1. Much later in the third year, the word of Yahweh came to Eliyahu, who go appear before Ahab. Then I will send rain upon the earth. Thereupon Eliyahu set out to appear before Ahab. The famine was severe in Shomron. Ahab had summoned Obadiah, the steward of the palace. Obadiah revered Yahweh greatly. When Jezebel was killing off the Nevi'im of Yahweh, Obadiah had taken 100 Nevi'im and hidden them 50 to a cave and provided them with food and drink. And Ahab had said to Obadiah, go therefore to the land, to all the springs of water, and to all the wadis. Perhaps we shall find some grass to keep horses and mules alive, so that we are not left without beasts. They divided the country between them to explore it. Ahab going alone in one direction, Obadiah going alone in another direction. Obadiah was on the road when Eliyahu suddenly confronted him. Obadiah recognized him and flung himself on his face, saying, is that you, my lord Eliyahu? Yes, it is, he answered. Go tell my lord, Eliyahu is here. But he said, what wrong have I done that you should hand your servant over to Ahab to the killing? As Yahweh, your God, lives, there is no nation or kingdom to which my Lord has not sent to look for you. And when they said, he is not here, he made that kingdom or nations swear that you could not be found. And now you say, go tell your Lord, Eliyahu is here. When I leave you, the Spirit of Yahweh will carry you off. I don't know where. And when I come and tell Ahab, and he does not find you, he will kill me. Yet your servant has revered Yahweh from my youth. My Lord has surely been told what I did when Jezebel was killed in Nevi'im in Yahweh, how I hid 100 of the Nevi'im of Yahweh, 50 men to a cave, and provided them with food and drink. And now you say, go tell your Lord, Eliyahu is here. Why? He will kill me. Eliyahu replied, as the Lord of hosts lives, whom I serve, I will appear before him this very day. Obadiah went to find Ahab and informed him, and Ahab went to meet Eliyahu. When Ahab caught sight of Eliyahu, Ahab said to him, Is that you troubler of Israel? He retorted, it is not I who have brought trouble on Israel, but you and your father's house, by forsaking the commandments of Yahweh and going after the Balaam. Now summon all Israel to join me at Mount Carmel, together with the 450 Nevi'im to Baal and the 400 Nevi'im of Asherah who eat at Jezebel's table. Ahab sent orders to all the Israelites and gathered Nevi'im at Mount Carmel. Eliyahu approached all the people and said, "How long will you keep hoping between two options? If Yahweh is Yahweh, follow him, and if Baal, follow him." But the people answered him, "Not a word." Then Eliyahu said to the people, "I am the only Nevi of Yahweh left, while the Nevi'im of Baal are 450 men. Let 2 young bulls be given to them." 20. "Let 2 young bulls be given to us. Let them choose one bull, cut it up, and lay it on the wood. But let them not apply fire. I will prepare the other bull and lay it on the wood, and I will not apply fire. You will then invoke your God by name, and I will invoke Yahweh by name. And let us agree, the God who responds with fire, that is Yahweh." And all the people answered, "Very good." 24 again. You will then invoke your God by your name, and I will invoke Yahweh by name. And let us agree, the God who responds with fire, that one is God and Lord. And all the people answered, "Very good." Eliyahu said to the Nevi'im of Baal, "Choose one bull and prepare it first, for you are the majority, invoke your God by name, but apply no fire." They took the bull that was given to them. They prepared it and invoked Baal by name from morning until noon, shouting, "O Baal, answer us!" But there was no sound, and none who responded. So they performed a hopping dance about the altar that had been set up. When noon came, Eliyahu mocked them, saying, "Shout louder! After all, he is a god, but he may be in conversation, he may be detained, or he may be on a journey, or perhaps he is asleep and will wake up." So they shouted louder and gashed themselves with knives and spears according to their practice until the blood streamed over them. When noon passed, they kept raving until the hour of presenting the meal offering. Still there was no sound, and none who responded or heeded. Then Eliyahu said to the people, "Come closer to me." And all the people came closer to him. He repaired the damaged Mizpah of Yahweh. Then Eliyahu took 12 stones corresponding to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, to whom the word of Yahweh had come, "Yisrael shall be your name." And with the stone he built a Mizpah in the name of Yahweh. Around the Mizpah he made a trench large enough for 2 seams of seed. He laid it out the wood, and he carved up the bull and laid it on the wood. And he said, "Fill 4 jars with water and pour it over the burnt offering and the wood." Then he said, "Do it the second time," and they did the second time. "Did it the third time," he said, and they did it a third time. The water ran down around the Mizpah and even the trench was filled with water. When it was time to present the meal offering, the Navi Eliyahu came forward and said, Yahweh, God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God over Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all these things in your bidding. Answer me, Yahweh, answer me, that the people may know that you, Yahweh, are God, for you have turned their hearts backward. Then fire from Yahweh descended and consumed the burnt offering, the wood, the stone, and the earth, and it licked up the water that was in the trench. When they saw this, all the people flung themselves on the face and cried out, Yahweh alone is God. Yahweh alone is God. This concludes the Haftadrah reading in 1 Kings. Let's read the BeritHadasah. We turn to Luke 11:14 through 20. Luke 11:14 through 20. He was expelling a demon that was mute. When the demon had gone out, the man who had been mute spoke, and the people were astonished. But some of them said, It is by Baal-Zebul, the ruler of the demons, that he expelled the demons. And others, trying to trap him, demanded from him a sign from heaven. But he, knowing what they were thinking, said to them, Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, with one house collapsing on another. So if the adversary too is divided against himself, how can his kingdom survive? I ask him because you claim it is a Baal-Zebub that I drive out the demons. If I drive out demons by Baal-Zebub, by whom do your people drive them out? So they will be your churches. But if I drive out demons by the finger of God, then the kingdom of God has come upon you. Next reading is Acts chapter 7. 35 to 81. This Moshe whom they rejected, saying, Who made you a ruler and judge? Is this very one whom God sent on both rulers and ransom by means of the angel that appeared to him in the thorn bush? This man led him out, performing miracles and signs in Egypt, at the Red Sea, and in the wilderness for 40 years. This is the Moshe who said to the people of Israel, God will raise up a prophet like me from among your prophets. This is the man who was in the assembly in the wilderness, accompanied by the angel that had spoken to him at Mount Sinai, and by our fathers, the man who was given living words to pass on to us. But our fathers did not want to obey them. On the contrary, they rejected him, and in their hearts they turned to Egypt, saying to Aaron, Make us same gods to lead us, because this Moshe who led us out of Egypt, we don't know what has become of him. That was when they made an idol in the shape of a calf and offered a sacrifice to it and held a celebration. and honor of what they had made with their own hands. So God turned away from them and gave them over to worship the stars. As has been written in the book of the prophets, people of Israel, it was not to me that you offered slaughtered animals and sacrificed 40 years in the wilderness. No, you carried the tender Molech and the star of your god, Rephaim, and idols you made, so that you could worship them. Therefore I will send you into exile beyond Babel. Our fathers had the tender witness in the wilderness. It had been made just as God had spoken to Moshe, had ordered it made, according to the pattern Moshe had seen. Later on, our fathers who had received it brought it in with Yehoshua when they took the land away from the nations that God drove out before them. So it was until the days of David I enjoyed God's favor and asked if he might provide a dwelling place for the God of Jacob, and Shlomo did build him a house. But Ha Elyon does not live in places made by hands, as the prophet says. Heaven is my throne, says Adonai, and the earth is my footstool. What kind of house could you build for me? What kind of place could you devise for my rest? Didn't I myself make all these things? Stiff-necked people with uncircumcised hearts and ears, you continually oppose the Ruach HaKodesh. You do the same things your fathers did. Which of you prophets did your father not persecute? They killed those who told in advance about the coming of the Tzaddik, and none of you have become his betrayers and murderers. You who received the Torah as having been delivered by angels, but do not keep it. On hearing these things, they were cut to the heart and ground their teeth at him. Yeshua standing at the right hand of the Lord. Look, he exclaimed, I see heaven open and the Son of Man standing at the right hand of God. And this they began yelling at the top of their voices so that they wouldn't have to hear him, and with one accord they rushed at him, threw him outside the city and began stoning him. And the witnesses laid down their coats at the feet of a young man named Shaul. As they were stoning him, Stephen called out to God, Lord, Yeshua, receive my spirit. Then he kneeled down and shouted out, Lord, don't hold this sin against them. With that, he died. Chapter 8, verse 1. And Shaul gave his approval to his murder. Starting with that day, there arose intense persecution against the Messianic community in Jerusalem. All but the emissaries were scattered throughout the regions of Yehuda and Shomron. Let's turn over to 1 Chronicles, chapter 10. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, starting at 1 through verse 13. For brothers, I don't want you to miss the significance of what happened to our fathers. All of them were guided by the pillar of cloud, and they all passed through the sea, and in connection with the cloud and with the sea. They all immerse themselves, drink from the Spirit. They all immerse themselves into Moshe, verse 3. So they all ate the same food from the Spirit, and they all drank the same drink from the Spirit, for they drank from the Spirit sent rock which followed them, and the rock was the Messiah. Yet with the majority of them God was not pleased, so their bodies were strewn across the desert. Now, these things took place as prefigurative historical events, warning us not to set our hearts on evil things as they did. Don't be idolaters. Be as some of them were, as the Tanakh put it. The people sat down to eat and drink, then got up to indulge in rivalry. And let us not engage in sexual immorality, as some of them did, with the consequence that 23,000 died in a single day. And let us not put the Messiah to the test, as some of them did and were destroyed by snakes. And don't grumble, as some of them did, and they're destroyed by the destroying angel. 11. These things happened to them as prefigurative historical events, and they were written down as a warning to us who are living in the Arashit Hayamim. Therefore, let everyone who thinks he is standing up be careful and not fall. Let no temptation be seized. Let no temptation has seized you beyond what people normally experience. And God can be trusted not to allow you to be tempted beyond what you can bear. On the contrary, along with the temptation, He will also provide the way out so that you will be able to endure. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, 1 through 18. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, 1 through 18. Are we starting to recommend ourselves again, or do we, like some, need letters of recommendation, either to you or from you? You yourselves are our letter of recommendation, written on our hearts, known and read by everyone. You make it clear that you are a letter from the Messiah, placed in our care, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living God, not one stone tablets, but on human hands. Such is the confidence we have through the Messiah toward God. It is not that we are competent in ourselves to account anything as having come from us. On the contrary, our competence is from God. He has even made us competent to be workers serving a new covenant, the essence of which is not written text, but the Spirit. For the written text brings death, but the Spirit gives life. Now, if that which worketh death by means of a written text engraved on stone tablets came with glory, such glory that the people of Israel could not stand to look at Moses' face because of its brightness, even though that brightness was already fading away. Won't the working of the Spirit be accompanied by even greater glory? For if there was glory in the and what worked to decree peoples guilty, how much more must the glory abound, and what works to declare people innocent. In fact, by comparison with the greater glory, what was made glorious before his own glory now. For if they For if there was glory in what faded away, how much more glory must there be in what lasts? Therefore, with the hope like this, we are very open, unlike Moshe, who put a veil over his face, so that the people of Israel could not see the fading brightness come to an end. What is more, the minds are made stone-like, for to this day the same veil remains over them when they read the old covenant. It has not been unveiled, because only by the Messiah is the veil taken away. You still today, whenever Moshe is read, a veil lies over their heart. But says the Torah, whenever someone turns to Adonai, the veil is taken away. Now, Adonai in the text means the Spirit. And where the Spirit of Adonai is, there is freedom. So, all of us with faces unveiled see as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, and we are being changed into his very image from one degree of glory to the next by Adonai the Spirit. May Yah bless you and keep you. May he shine upon you and give you peace. Amen. Shalom. Till next time. Torah and coffee.